live in. We are live and recording. Good afternoon, everybody. How are we all doing? It's just gone 12 o'clock in the UK. Let us know where you are joining us from in the chat box down there. I'm Alex Chisnell, hosting this live webinar. I am joined by Emma. She is here. Emma Shenton, Director of Oakwood Management Consulting. Thank you for joining us, Emma.
Very welcome. Delighted to be here.
And whereabouts are you today? You're in Berkshire, aren't you?
I'm in Berkshire, yeah, slightly west of London.
Slightly west of London, absolutely. And I'm in Poole in Dorset. Very grey, cloudy, typical British summer.
Yeah.
Kind
it's
of
pretty
day,
grey here too, to be honest.
I know. Hope we haven't had a summer already in April, May, and
God,
June.
I hope not.
Hope not. Likewise. So, hopefully you can all see the screen why change management is a crucial universal business skill and how it can help SMEs achieve deep, meaningful, and faster change to skyrocket their business results. So thank you for joining us. You can see Peter's joined us, Jill, Patricia, Becky, Paul, Neve, etc., etc. Thank you for joining us. Let me know. Peter's in Amersham. Thank you for joining us. Not a million miles away.
Nearby. Yeah,
I was going to say not a million miles away in Buckinghamshire there, I think. Yeah. Thank you for joining us, everybody. So bit of housekeeping, as always, is the chat box that some of you are using already. Please use that. Any commentary, any questions for Emma, pop them in the box there. If you happen to be watching this live on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, again, if you'd like to join us here, fully interactive experience, then simply go to festivalofenterprise.co.uk to register, and it will take you straight here via an email link that you will get. Okay, Ian. Ian's in Malaga. There's always
I'm
one.
jealous of that.
Oh, I'm jealous as well. I was just looking at flights, actually. Looking at Malaga, Mallorca. Prices are going up already rapidly, I could see, as the whole population are clearly doing the same thing. Patricia's in Newbury, again, not a million miles away. Whereas Neve's in County Kerry and Ireland, a little bit further
I love
away.
that, though. Oh, I love County Kerry. Very nice.
Very nice indeed. So, yeah, that's just a little bit of housekeeping. Is literally just to use those boxes there, everybody. Also, if you'd like to post up your LinkedIn profile like I did earlier, I'll probably add it again. Always happy to connect with everybody on here, because normally we'd be at a live event with real humans where you'd see us and speak to us, and we'd be doing the same. But we're not. We're on here. So why not use it as an opportunity to network? I know I've connected with hundreds and hundreds of people since we've been starting this. We're literally coming up to 100 days of live webinars on Friday, and I think we're coming up to 150 as well, which is, I think in anyone's book, pretty impressive. So we are grateful to Emma from the Changemaker Academy for coming on today and joining us. So just to give you a little bit of well done. Daniela's jumped straight in there, and Lalard is in Nigeria. So we are fully international today, Emma. We're in Ireland, we're in Malaga, we're in Nigeria, and Newbury, in fact. So just to frame this for you all today, and this is always the most popular question, is when can you see the replay? So literally as soon as Emma and I are finished, I will press end broadcast, and it will be available on here, on Facebook Live, on Twitter and YouTube. So again, if you are watching this, you want someone to see the replay, if you find a value in this and you'd like to share this, you'd like to spread the word, then simply send them the link where they can watch the replay. So this session is going to show you why change management is a skill every business person needs. It's going to show you that change management can be scalable to every business size and applicable to every situation. It's also going to show you how it will make an immediate difference to your business results, which I think we all need, and the next steps you can take if you want to learn more about the must-do minimums and the easy win extras that deliver the successful and sustainable change. Emma is the founder of Oakwood Management Consulting, lightheartedly referred to by some as the business change ninja. Do you mind me saying that, Emma?
No, not at all. That works for me. I quite like a little bit lighthearted.
Absolutely, me too. We all need it during the last 3 months, without a shadow of a doubt. It's the only thing that's got us through, I think. It's a British sense of humor. So thank you, Ian, for posting up your LinkedIn as well. Ben's joined us again. He was on the last webinar with myself and Noel from Dell. And Peter is in Norfolk as well. A couple of Peters. We've got Peter probably reigning in County Kerry. Don't put the curse on them, Peter.
Oh,
come on.
Mean.
Can't do that. That's really
mean.
I know. So look, Emma, we've got the slides up. I'm going to knock off my video to persist with a bandwidth that's clearly pretty damn good at the moment. And yeah, I'm going to let you take it away, and looking forward to this one. Everybody, questions in the box, as you say, any commentary, any connections, and over to you, Emma.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for that, Alex. So what are we going to be talking about today? So we're going to be talking about what change management normally means and what it really means. And the difference between what it normally means and what it really means, that is where there's a great opportunity for SMEs to grow and develop their businesses. So I'm going to go into why an expanded view of change management can be a massive growth opportunity. I'm also going to tell you how change management can be scaled for every business size and applicable to every situation. And then I'm going to tell you what comes next and how you can find out some more. And then I'm going to keep this nice and punchy so that we can get plenty of questions and answers in here. So, what does change management normally mean and what does it really mean? The traditional definitions of change management tend to be about inside of businesses. So we've got one from the Oxford English Dictionary about the management of change and development within a business or a similar organization, or the controlled identification and implementation of the required changes inside a system. Then ProSci uses process tools and techniques to manage the people side of change. So we've got the inside the business bit, and now we've got the people bit. And then the Association of Change Management Professionals says that it's the practice of applying a structured approach to transition an organization. So we're back to that organization again, from a current state to a future state to achieve expected results. Now, that's actually fine. That is the traditional view, and I don't have, with my traditional view hat on, I have no impact to make to that. But it seems to me that it isn't enough. Because for me, what change management really does is it delivers business change in a successful and sustainable way. Now, let me touch on what I mean by successful and sustainable. So successful means that it meets the objectives set at the beginning of the change. Now, even within companies, a recent 2020 survey by a leading UK change consultancy suggests that 72% of business changes don't currently achieve this. Now, that is astonishing, absolutely astonishing. And the reason that that is so astonishing is because actually, what we're saying is that 72% of people invested, and believe me, there is some investment in doing a change, particularly if you think you're going to do it quite well and in quite a big way, then 72% of business changes don't achieve what they hope to achieve. That's not very good. And sustainable. So my definition of sustainable is that it's stable. It will still be around in a few years. This isn't usually true either. So one of the things that you will typically hear all the time when an organization has gone through some change is that it's a cyclical situation. There's a cycle in place. So when a organization does change, they decide that they're going to make a change, and then it's going to take them a while to do that, maybe 6 months, 9 months, a year, something like that, to get it fully embedded. And then in another 6, 9 months or a year, you'd go back to them and you'd find that they've gone back to doing it the other way. And they will say to you, oh yes, well, we tried that and it didn't really work. Well, that's not really true. It's because you didn't correctly embed it. You didn't correctly get it all the way through to sustainable. You stopped too early. So if business change, so if change management is the thing that delivers business change in a really successful and sustainable way, then change management is truly about delivering solutions to problems in a way that the problems are fixed and that they stay fixed. So that's the successful and the sustainable. They're fixed and they stay fixed. Now, it seems to me that if business is about providing the products and services to customers that solve the customer's problems, and if the change management is about solving the delivering solutions to problems in a way that the problems are fixed and stay fixed, then change management skills are central to everything a business does, not only internally, but externally too. So that brings us to look at change management's expanded circle of influence. So one of the things that we discussed at the beginning was that traditionally there's a focus on internal business aspects. But actually, if we look at this circle of influence, we can say that this idea about solving problems in a way that they're fixed and stay fixed absolutely applies also to your clients' problems. And that's a big thing for SMEs, because where you're focusing on internal business, then quite often that will be a larger business. That will be a larger business that's trying to do that change. But clients, SMEs have clients, and one of the things that is great about SMEs is that they can see the problems that exist for their clients. So it's about the clients. It's also then, let's go broader, it's also about the industry, your industry, the industry that you work in. And that's really important, because actually when we're talking about the industry that you work in, you can see the problems there too. So some of those might be being solved by your clients who are also in that industry. Some of them might not. And then there's a wider piece, even wider than the industry, is actually the world has a bunch of problems. I think we can all agree that the world has some problems right now in lots and lots of different areas. So the same skills that work for changing a medium and larger size business also work for a SME to deliver this to your clients, to your industry, and more broadly to the world. So I want to do this with a quick warning. So please stay in your lane. It's really important that the idea of being able to expand change management and to add some additional change management skills into your companies to make a real difference to your clients, to your industry, and to the world doesn't mean that you're going to skitter about all over the place. So you have to still focus on the core competencies of your business and your core mission. This is not in any way at all a call to pivot your business, because there are opportunities in your lane right now. So it might be that you can see the opportunities sparkling at you from other people's lanes and you go, oh, we could solve that. But that's a danger. So keep in your lane, keep with your core competencies. If you're pivoting your business anyway, then that's totally fine. Businesses pivot all the time. But don't pivot it. Don't pivot your business in order to go and focus on an opportunity that you see in an adjacent lane. Be really cognizant of why you're making those changes. So why is it that I'm expanding the area of influence for change management and that nobody else does? So the traditional approaches, they are very theoretically focused. There are an awful lot of theories out there on change management, and they range from very niche and focused on one aspect to very broad and covering the whole of change management. But there are literally hundreds, and if I did the research, probably thousands of change management methodologies and approaches. And one thing that they all seem to have in common is that they take a one-size-fits-all approach. So they decide that actually, if you do the thing that their research tells you, then that will solve your problems for all change management. It also leaves the implementation of that to you. So how you apply that methodology becomes your issue. So every time you come up with a problem, whether that's inside a company or whether as an SME, it's about solving problems for your clients, you have to look across all of these different tools and techniques and approaches and pick exactly the one that is going to make a difference for your client and is going to make a difference maybe to the industry, and it's going to be that big thing. So it leaves the implementation to you. And then the tools are either ignored completely, and that's certainly true for probably 60 or 70% of the traditional approaches to change management. They're really agnostic about the tool set that you might want to use for that. So that means that you have to create your own tool based on their theory. Alternatively, they provide you with a tool set which feels like it should be better. It really does. But it does mean that it's fixed on a one-size-fits-all basis. So it must do everything. And that's the other point. So one of the things that traditional change management approaches don't do is they don't scale. So they don't say, you only need to do these bits, or if you've got time, you can do these bits and those bits. They'll say, you need to do everything. We need to receive the Rolls-Royce solution for you to have the impact that we say you're going to have. So that's okay, but that's only okay if you've got an unlimited amount of time, an unlimited budget, and blankly, that you've got clients with unlimited patience. And that third one tends to be more of a problem than the first two. So how does the change maker approach differ? So firstly, we are totally practically focused as opposed to theoretically focused. So we focus on the things that are actually working, not about how that works in theory. So we totally link to some of the key theories of change management, and we show how that has formed our thinking, but it is purely a practical approach. And it's not a one-size-fits-all methodology. We have a flexible framework that deals with all change at all scales. The tools that are provided, they are fully scalable. And also we provide different tools that create the same outcomes for different projects. And we also share how to choose between the different tools. So if you've got a project of this sort, then this would tend to be the right tool for you. However, none of what we do cannot be used with an existing tool set that you already have. So if you have tools that you know, like, and trust, you absolutely can utilize those alongside the change maker approach. Because we are not a tool-centered approach. We are a key concepts-centered approach. And more than key concepts, we focus on those must-do minimums and the easy win extras. So instead of must do everything, then actually what we say is, if you're in a tight spot, here are the things that you absolutely must do. Here are the things that you can add on, the easy win extras that you can add on that don't take a lot of time, that don't take a lot of effort, and that actually will make a big difference to you. So if you always deliver the must do minimums and you add some easy win extras, and there's plenty of ideas and approaches that are neither must-do minimums or easy win extras. So when it's appropriate, you absolutely need to bring that third tier in as well. So we focus on an idea of that is completely scalable. So the components of a fully scalable approach. The fact that you know the minimum you must always do. The fact that you know how to build on that. And the fact that you can create different tools for the same outcomes. Which means that if you're dealing with internal change in a company, maybe you're working with a client and you're helping them in your lane, you're helping them work through some of their problems, you can apply those tools differently for different clients and differently for industry-wide change as opposed to change in your clients. So that gives you a fully scalable change management solution. So I want to talk about what do I think is really included in change management. And the reason I want to talk about this is because even if I go back into the theories of many other people, then they are a little bit different about how they think of change management. So my solution to change management is very much a very beginning to a very end approach. So let's start with the big picture. This is the part before you've done the change and you're setting out what your vision is, what your mission is, what it is that you're going to achieve as part of this. And crucially, that you get some other people on board with that too. This is when we talk about creating a group of people, creating a cohort that are all trying to achieve the same change. This is the point that we begin to do that. We're creating that guiding coalition that Kotter talks about in his theories. So the big picture goes over the top of everything, but it's also about setting expectations. And I'm going to come back to that because after this, I'm going to take you through what the must-do minimums are for each of these different stages, because I really want you to come away from this session with some practical things that you can apply today. So we've got that big picture. Then before we get any further in, we need to assess readiness. Now, readiness comes into several different areas. It talks about user readiness. So these are the people who experience the change. And I separate those from stakeholders because actually we want to do, even though users are also stakeholders, we want to do a lot of extra work with our users because it's them that we're doing the change for. So understanding readiness, that's really key. And you're going to see as I go through the must-do minimums for the different sections, why readiness is such a key area. Then we're talking about awareness. We're talking about making people really aware of what's happening with this change so that they can feel brought up to date. But awareness is a one-dimensional thing. It's us telling people. So engagement is the other side of that. Engagement is this two-way process where we're truly listening and really wanting to hear the feedback of all the people. Then we're into training. Now, training's a really interesting one because a lot of changes say, well, there's nothing for me to train. This isn't about a data solution. This isn't about an IT system that I'm implementing. I'm changing a way of working, but that still requires training. Training is taking everybody from where they started and what they used to do until they have all of the knowledge, understanding, skills, and attitudes that are required for them to behave in this new way. And if we think broadly about the idea that we're going to be focusing not only on internal change in companies, we're also thinking more broadly into change into our clients and into the industries that we work in, then actually changing people's knowledge, understanding, skills, and attitudes can be an absolutely crucial plank of undertaking this. And then finally, but definitely not least, we have internalization. So this is where we have people that take on this change and they become not only advocates for it, but they take it on as their own personal change. And this is really powerful. It's powerful inside organization, but it's powerful with your clients, and it's powerful in the wider industry as well. Because this is the part where the change that you're trying to create becomes a movement for change. And you become a spearheading figure of that movement, but still it's still about their change. It's never really about yours. And that's one of the key things about change management. When you're working with your change management skills, you facilitate those changes for other people. It's never your change. So that applies whether it's an internal company thing and you're facilitating the changes for the users, or it applies if it's a wider thing and you're facilitating the changes for the clients. It's actually the client's change. And then if we're thinking about the if we're thinking about changing the industry, then it's also about the industry taking that on, the industry behaving in this new way that is going to be so powerful for them and that is going to be so useful as part of your business. So, what comes next? I know that some of you will be thinking already, you'll be thinking, that sounds great, that sounds amazing. How do I learn that? How do I learn all of those things? And then some of you will be thinking, I like the approach, but I don't have the big idea I could use this on. I don't know what sort of changes my clients might need. I don't know what sort of changes my industry might need that will really help them in these critical 3, 6, 9, 12 and beyond amount of months. Some of you might be thinking that you'd really like more details on those must-do minimums and those easy win extras. Some of you will be thinking, yeah, it does sort of sound good, but I'm really too busy right now. So I'm gonna deal with all of those things for you in the remainder of this session. Firstly, let's talk about you're too busy right now. Let's start at the bottom right. I completely get being too busy. As a small business owner myself, you're always doing 1,000 things. You're always juggling all the different priorities. But we live in a world where so much change is needed. I can confidently predict that whatever your particular speciality is, whatever lane you're in, there will be change required in your industry and there will be change required of your clients. And the change that is required will generate you income. Just by adding change management skills to your existing skill set, you will vastly expand the different things that you can deliver for your clients. And it's about being that complementary skill set. So you might be busy right now, but are you too busy to take the next step? Are you too busy to earn that additional income? The other thing that is worth saying is that right now is an amazing time for change, because everybody knows change is coming. Everybody's experienced change over the last 100 days of lockdown in the UK and varying different amounts throughout the world. So we've experienced a lot of change. And although we're feeling a bit change fatigued, this is an opportunity, instead of going backwards into some of those areas that don't massively serve us as for your clients or for the industry, that actually, as we've had all that disruption, it's a great time to go forward into what's next. So moving around this squares, moving around these squares, the how do I learn that? I'm gonna come to that at the end. Some of you who are thinking, I like the approach, but I don't have that big idea yet. I'm going to show you how to think of that big idea. I've got a special offer for you on that. So that leaves us with that bottom left box. Some of you thinking that you would like more details on those must-do minimums and those easy win extras. So I'm going to share that with you now so that you have some more knowledge off this call. So the big picture, if you remember, that was the first of my steps. The must-do minimum on the big picture is to align your senior sponsor or client before the beginning of the project. Now, if you don't do that, it often shows up as senior level jitters. So when stakeholders disagree, when progress stalls, when the project just feels tough to them, when the solution doesn't work as well as expected, it's a good sign that if those senior level jitters show up, that you haven't done that piece of alignment with your senior stakeholders and sponsors at the beginning. Because you have to show them that change is not easy. To get to successful change, it's very unlikely that you will get there without there being a bump in the road. It's very unlikely that you will get there without having part of a solution that just doesn't work. And stakeholders disagree all the time. And progress is never linear. Progress never goes at exactly the pace that you predicted. So you have to align your senior sponsor and client that this is hard stuff and that they can absolutely get what they want out at the end, but they have to go through this journey with you. So they need to know change isn't easy. You need to know, you need them to promise how they're going to show up when it isn't easy. Because often what happens is they, instead of being with their arm around you and you're working together and you're delivering this together, as soon as there's a problem, suddenly you're separated. Suddenly you're at arm's length. Suddenly they're on the podium talking about it and you're not. So you need to know, how will they show up? And we're going to talk in a minute about some of the things that are really important about the ways that they show. But also you want to work out with them what happens when there's an issue, because there is going to be an issue. And if you've sort of rehearsed a little bit about what that's going to be like, then that is going to make a big difference. Now, none of that agreement takes a long time, but it is a difficult conversation at a point that normally you've just agreed that you're going to do this. And particularly if you're working with one of your clients, it can be uncomfortable to have that big conversation when you've just agreed that you're going to do a piece of work for them. You've just promised them all the differences this will make to their business, and they've just signed up to allowing you to do that. Is that really the time to have this conversation and to say, actually, it's not going to be as easy as all that? And the answer is yes, because if you don't have it at the beginning, I promise you, you will never have it. And that is not a good place to be. You really need to have that, and you need to be aligned with that from day one. I would also say that if you possibly can, if you're brave enough, have that conversation with your client before you sign the contract with them to do that piece of work. Because if they are on board with the change and all that it means, they will sign anyway, but they will sign knowing that you don't expect this to be easy, but that you're going to be in it with them all the way. And they need to know that. That's super important. So that was the big picture minimum. Moving on to readiness, the must-do minimum is aligning the pace of the change you're going to make with user readiness. So this means you must measure user readiness in a particular way. Ideally, not by sending out a survey, because we're not always that honest in surveys. Now, if you don't do this, if you don't align the pace of change with user readiness, what you will see is a massive drop-off in engagement as you begin to transition faster and your users want to recap some steps. And you can ask them, do you want to recap some steps? And sometimes they won't say yes when they really mean yes. You need to know underneath all of that, what is their readiness for change? So you'll also end up running awareness and engagement sessions that you think are enough. You've decided that you're going to run 3 engagement sessions, and you've decided that that will absolutely capture everybody and give everybody a great opportunity. Now, it might be that it captures everybody. It might be that it gives everybody a great opportunity, but it might not be enough to fully engage your users. That's why you have to measure how engaged they are. You have to measure what's their awareness. So for each of these steps, you need to know how are they following the process from becoming aware of the change for the first time, which is our next step, awareness through engagement, through the training piece, and through internalisation when they really take it on as their own. So you have to measure that, but not by asking them. So there's lots of ways, there's lots of pieces of information that you can use as good proxies for, are they aware? Are they engaged? And you have to take the time to think about that and to think, okay, what does it look like if they're aware? What does it look like if they're engaged? So you can then measure that. And these should be things that you're aware of anyway. These metrics that I'm talking about, they aren't extra metrics that slow you down. They're metrics that you're already measuring or are super easy to measure. So the must-do minimum of readiness is aligning the pace of change with user readiness. Do not go faster than they want to go, than they're able to go. So awareness. The must-do minimum here is avoiding smoke and mirrors at all costs. So that means giving all the information you can as transparently even as you can. Focusing equally on the stuff that isn't working and the stuff that is. Give information before you have to, even if you're the only one who knows it. So if you don't do this, the users will hear one or more of 3 unintended messages. They will hear subconsciously that if we're not completely transparent with them, that we think bumps in the road are not normal. We think that this change is going off its course. And that's not true. We've already talked about how there isn't such a thing as a smooth change that never has a bump in the road, that never requires some additional interventions. Alternatively, they might think that the users can't handle the truth. That's a bit insulting. And actually, if you think about all the times you've worked on things and you didn't have the truth all the way through, a lot of the time you knew the truth anyway. So if the users know the truth and you're just not telling them, you're saying that we don't want their help in finding the solutions. We don't want your help in getting the project back on track. And critically, we're saying, actually, it's our change anyway. It's not really yours. And we talked earlier about the fact that that's one thing that change management skills are all about, is about being the facilitator of this wider change, and it's never actually your change. So that is the must-do minimum for awareness. But what is the must-do minimum for engagement? Now, this one is quite a difficult one to convince people that they have to do this. But the must-do minimum is giving the users permission to break the solution. So this shows them that you care more about the successful outcome than about being right first time. It shows them that actually it is the quality of the end solution that matters. That you're willing to not be right. You're willing to hear that you're totally wrong. You're willing to hear that you have made the right solutions, but actually you're implementing them in a way where they'd never land. You have to engage the people and allow them to break the solution. But if you don't do this, if you don't give them that permission, they don't think it's safe to speak up with their concerns. Now, don't get me wrong, some people will tell you their concerns anyway, even if you don't make it safe. Those are the people who are absolutely convinced that this is totally wrong and they're willing to put their neck out there and say so. But this won't be all of your engaged users. Only a very small percentage of people will speak up with their concerns if you haven't made it super safe to do so. Also, if they don't think that their views are central to your project, if they think it's more about you and what you want to achieve and putting something that the client, so we're in this situation where the client or the industry might be the thing that we're changing here, that actually if they think that you have a set view on what the industry should be and it's not about getting to the right solution to the benefit of all, then they won't speak up anyway because they think it's waste, it's pointless. And they will lose interest in helping you come to the best solution, even if they were interested before. So that is really important, because if they were interested before and now we're in a slightly different space and now we are not giving them permission to break the solution, then you've lost all that interest. All the ideas they had, they're storing them off to use separately themselves one day. I mean, I've got countless notebooks full of ideas where I think opportunities were missed, and that in the future I'd like to go back and fix this sort of a problem in that sort of a company. So that was engagement, giving users permission to break the solution. And don't get me wrong, I know how hard some of these must-do minimums are, because when you've spent time designing what the solution is, it goes against every fiber of your being to allow people to tell you it's totally wrong, it totally won't work, and that it's the wrong thing it's the wrong solution for the industry or for the client, or indeed that it is never going to work in terms of how you're implementing it, how you're trying to engage those different areas. Horrible to do, but you have to do it. It's an absolute must-do minimum. So then moving on to training. So the must-do minimum for all training is to train and support people until they can reliably run the process without you or any of the project team. So this is just as applicable if you're looking at this from a client point of view. So you're doing some change with your client, you're assisting them with your additional change management skills. The client has to be able to do it once you leave. Even if secretly you'd like to be working for a long-term basis with the client, there's always more change, there's always more clients. Better to get it completely finished with them and to be able to completely move away, even if that seems like you're turning down recurring revenue. So in terms of training, this has to be learning at their pace and not at yours. So what would typically happen in a normal situation is that you would train people on lots of different aspects. So that might be about the knowledge, the understanding, the skills, and maybe the attitudes as well. So you could teach them about all of this, but if you teach them about it once, they might not get it all the first go. And honestly, there are some wonderful statistics about how many times you need to train different things. So if you don't do this, people just won't have everything that they need to run that process without you. And if they cannot do it the new way, they will go back to doing it the old way. It's one of the fastest ways. As we get further on down the process and get towards training and internalization, these are the things that people struggle with so much, and suddenly the change reverses and they'll go back to doing it the old way. So the internalization must-do minimum is really simple. Don't stop until it's done. It's only done once the benefits that were anticipated have been delivered. That's super sure if you're in terms of you're doing it with your client, and also if you're doing it with your industry. Don't suddenly decide that you wanted to achieve a certain thing with them, but actually you haven't been able to, so you'll accept a lesser standard. That doesn't work. There was a reason you picked the ambition that you did. Don't stop until it's done. Keep on pushing. It's only once done once the benefits that were anticipated have been delivered. Delivering the scope or the outputs of the project just isn't enough. And this is always much longer than you think. So if you don't do this, the project will roll backwards. People who've experienced this change will be cynical next time, and you won't have delivered that impact that you were hoping for, regardless of the number of victory speeches that you or your client gives. So I'm really hoping that helped you. That is talking about the must-do, some of the must-do minimums of change management, and I hope that that's given you some things that you can take away and change about how you do change, either in your organization or in your client's organization or in your industry. But what if you want to know more? So I want to talk to you about the Changemaker Academy Change Management Program. So this lasts for 10 weeks. It exists over 6 modules, including all of those that we were talking about there. And it's delivered through a combination of live input and pre-recorded videos. On completion, you get a lifetime license to use the methodologies and tools in your business, with your employers, with your clients, with your industry. There's 25% off if you join via the waitlist. And I also want to talk to you very quickly before I take questions about the bonuses. So if you are not sure what your great change idea would be for your clients or for your industry, then I want to say that the Great Change Generator is a 3-step process to generate, consider, and select a great change idea. And that the 10-step ideas incubator is a process for developing that idea until it's ready to be the case study that you would work on during the course, during the program. And in addition, there would be an onboarding call with me for 30 minutes before the program to discuss the objectives and fine-tune your case study. And all of that goes in for free with the original program. So if you're interested and you want to sign up on the wait list to hear more about that, then please sign up on that, and I will pop that in the or someone can pop that in the chat if you're interested. And other than that, I want to know if you have any questions.
Awesome. Thank you very much indeed, Emma.
I'm hoping there are questions because I love questions.
We do have questions. We've still got time for questions as well. Before I move on to them, so I had a couple of requests for slides being available. Is that would the easiest just to send you email to the address you had before? Yes,
absolutely. Not a problem at all.
Do you want to pop that one up? Did you want to go back one, I think, was it? Just to get your email.
Oh, hello. I nearly went forward one. So that isn't the wait. That's the waitlist sign up for people who are really interested in the program. And I've only touched on that at the end because I wanted to give more content than talk about the thing that I'm busy with at the moment. But I can absolutely share these slides through you, Alex, if that works. I can send them to you to sending out, or I could send them out to all the attendees on the who've attended the course and attended this session. So as you want.
Yeah, what would be the best email address? Because this platform doesn't let us send out attachments, unfortunately.
Doesn't it? How outrageous!
I know, it's a pain. It's another one of mine.
Okay, so my email, one of a list by the sound of it. Okay, my email address is emma.shenton@oakwoodmanagementconsulting.com. So the bit that you've got on the screen there, the oakwoodmanagementconsulting.com, just put emma.shenton at, and then you will get me.
Okay, I've got it. I'll put it up as boom. There we go. Yeah, we've got Ben, Lamont, somebody else earlier asked for them as well. So there you go, guys. That's Emma's email address there. So we've got, lots of commentary and lots of questions as well. So let me just scroll back a bit.
Pick me a lovely, juicy question.
I'll give you a little short, cheeky one from Jill, who says, "What do you mean by in your lane?"
Oh yeah, no, that's great. That's a good question. Okay, so staying in your lane. This is if you think about the whole world, everything you could do as a motorway. And there's a lane that you're currently driving in. There's a lane that is that focuses on your kind of client, and you're delivering your core capability to your kind of clients. And you might do a number of different ways. You might provide lots of different products and services that solve their problems, but you're solving problems either with a similar group of clients or similar kinds of problems across a wide range of clients. So you want to stay with that. You don't want to then be attracted by an opportunity to solve a piece of the industry that isn't something you currently deal with. Because the idea of this, and where it makes so much sense, is using your existing knowledge and methodologies and know-how and getting that with change management, because it amplifies everything that you can do and you can deliver. But it's not as useful if you just take the change management and you don't have that underlying knowledge and methodologies and products and services that you can balance that all on top of.
Thank you. Yeah, and just some commentary from people as you were going through the slides. Daniela, agree with this. I've been having this very conversation with a number of clients. Peter says change versus transformation.
Oh, yes. I love this one. So I like to think of, so normally I would be talking about it as business change rather than transformation, because transformation's a bit of a Marmite word. I mean, really, it's a similar sort of thing. But change management is not transformation. So change management is about the people side of a change. It's about taking your people with you, and it is the thing that will make your change successful and sustainable, which is what we all want. So business change would tend to be where I would go with a kind of a statement that matches a little bit of change management and a little bit of transformation. I think business change works really well as a statement. But actually, if we're thinking about the industry, so we were thinking about growing change management and using those skills to grow our influence, then actually we want to be focusing maybe without the word business on there, because then the industry change. So yeah, I prefer change to transformation, but only because a load of people hate it now, transformation as a word. I call myself a transformation director, so I love it.
Right.
And one of the things that's totally happening in the Changemaker Academy in the future is that we'll be adding different courses for different aspects of change and transformation.
Okay, exciting. So, yeah, a bit more commentary. Peter Henry says current markets, current products. Becky says a helpful practical flowchart reflecting Lewin's model. Okay, here we go. Ben says, I think, yeah, it's a great comment. I think lockdown has forced lots of businesses to embrace change management, possibly without even realizing it. What do you think? What do you think?
Definitely.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I think that's where there's opportunity that really is massive, because we have all been forced to change, but some of that change hasn't been done in the best way, and the opportunity to take ourselves forward into a different sort of place. I'm really struggling not to say new normal, because I really hate that term.
Me too.
It's just yucky. But yeah, to take ourselves forward into that in a way that has taken everybody with that change, and to bring that sort of change management together. I think there is a huge opportunity right now. This is the time when we will have more opportunity than we will have probably in the next 2 or 3 years.
Agreed. Peter Henry says, too busy right now is always the wrong answer. It's all about priorities. Indeed.
It is. Too busy is always the wrong answer. However, it is a really, really easy answer, and it's one that I really empathize with, because, yeah, as small business owners, we're always too busy.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just, we all get 24 hours in a day, don't we? And it's where you prioritize.
It's where you prioritize them. But this particular priority can make you income. It can add additional products and services, and it can just change up your entire company. So it's one worth thinking about. Indeed.
In the end, it's all about people. Yeah, you're right. Will the slides be available? Yeah,
yes.
I've popped the email address down there, so please do. More commentary. A company has to design the solution. Your job is to help them, not direct them.
Yes. Couldn't agree with that more.
A couple more.
You can help them. You can help them design the solution, but that's more about facilitating their thought process and ensuring that they're engaging and co-creating with enough of their people, so that you get a really diverse group of thoughts together, because that's what gives you that best solution.
Okay, last couple of questions, guys. So let's have a look. Here we go. Yeah, Lullard says, please clarify if, as a consultant facilitator, you are not to collaborate with the organization in designing the change process.
No, I will quite often facilitate it for them, but I won't put my thoughts in, because my thoughts are not as relevant. What I will do is I will make sure that they get the best outcome by widening their pool of people that they're co-creating with inside their organization. If, for example, they are just talking to their board about what should the change look like, they have probably missed the point. They need a much more diverse group of minds than that.
Jill says, what are your top ways of checking for readiness?
To look for metrics that you're already measuring. So you will already know, for example, for awareness, how many people are opening your emails or signing up for your town hall sessions or turning up at group events. So you will understand how interested people are in terms of awareness, and that's just an example for awareness. You want to take things that you measure already and you want to use those as proxies for how ready they are across that line of change, from awareness to engagement to training to internalization.
Commentary: all problems in a company are known by someone within the company.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. Completely 100%. And the key thing for that is to make sure that you're allowing all the people to tell you where your solutions are wrong. Allow them to break the solution, the must do minimum for engagement. And it really, truly will change the quality of your solutions.
Okay, folks, we are literally on the hour. So before I ask Emma just for a last couple of closing words, I will clarify and I will repost Emma's email address, so it's the last thing that people see. And what I'll also do is email everybody, which the system does let me do, email everybody who registered for this webinar the links to Emma's email and also program as well that she's just been finishing her slides on, and a link for that to register for the waitlist, etc. So I will send those out in an email after this. If you are watching this on social, then all you need to do is register. You can obviously see that as well on social media. You'll be able to see the chat function there, so you will be able to see the links there as well. So you can get in touch with Emma. You can ask any further questions about the new academy as well. How long have you had the academy for, by the way, Emma?
So this is a new venture, taking it online, but across a career of sort of 15, 20 years in transformation and change, I've taught over 100 people this stuff. So I absolutely know that this works. So it's all my own build of stuff, and now I'm taking it online. So it's the online part that's new now.
Okay, great. And just to finish up then, what would you like to kind of leave us with? Any final thoughts, Emma, before I wrap up?
I think the most important thing is that everybody needs to think about how they can integrate change management skills and what it is that they could up level their different products with, and how they could better serve their customers and their industry by utilizing change management.
Awesome. So lots of thank yous coming in. Such a great webinar. Thank you, Emma and Alex. From Becky, Neem, excellent. Thank you very much. Great food for thought there. Peter Henry, thanks, Emma. Always interesting to swap ideas. The Lard, it was an hour of value. Thank you. Thanks, says Patricia Ebrithes. Thanks, it was spot on for SMEs. Ben says, thanks, Emma and Alex. Really useful. So, very good. That went down really well. Excellent. So, look, thank you all for tuning in on whatever platform that you joined us on today. As I say, you can get the slides via Emma's email. You can watch the replay on here, on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube. If you found this of value, if you know anyone else who would find value in this, then please send them the link that you got when registering for this as well. This is the last webinar of today. Tomorrow, 2 webinars. Got myself talking about podcasting, how to build a great brand through podcasting. So join me at 12 o'clock tomorrow. And then at 2 p.m., I've got Piers Linney, good friend of mine, former investor from Dragon's Den. And we are talking about diversity being good for business. I would love to know any questions that any of you have got for me to put to Piers. So if you'd like to let me know any questions, post them here in the chat function and I will take them tomorrow. I'm also going to be posting on LinkedIn, so do connect with me on there and asking for some questions. Clearly a very emotive topic at the moment and sure to be a popular one. So thank you, Emma. That was great. Really good.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. So I'm literally going to hit end broadcast now, folks. So the replay will be available literally in about 30 seconds. So thank you once again. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.